Hello, this is Alan here, and I'm the facilitator for this course on exam tips. In the last mini course on exam prep, I feel that we covered a lot of theory like breathing, relaxation, but in this one I want to go right down to the actual exam experience for multiple choice exam and help you with some more specific useful tips. So first, let's do a quick review. We need to recognize that stress is what stress is and what stresses us. Stress is mental, as it tires us. It robs us of joy, sometimes makes us irritable, irrational, fearful. Stress is also a chemical side to it, and that's what's directly relevant to our getting ready for the exam. Remember how cortisol is released and equals a memory loss in about 30 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes later. Stress is also natural. An unplanned or unpleasant events will happen, and stress is part of life. We need to learn to react to stress, and then we need to learn what to do when we are stressed. There are all kinds of ways to relax, and I recommend you find out some ways for you to be able to put that exam pressure aside for a short while in order for your brain to get back to its better learning mode. So there's two parts to this. There's the learning side when you're starting to look at the material, you're preparing for the exam that's coming in the future, and then there's the exam itself. And too often we get stressed by the exam while the exam is not even in front of us yet. So we need to find a way to relax. We need to find out what it is. So learn some meditation skills, learn some relaxation skills. That's critical that you do that. Maybe what you need to do is go back to where your mind is relaxed. Maybe it's nature watch. Maybe it's having coffee with friends. Maybe it's doing a strenuous exercise. It's proven that physical exercise releases endorphin that makes you feel better, makes you feel more positive. Or maybe it's just going away from all the pressure. Maybe if you parent the children a little bit, they get to you after a while. Take a break. Get out. The backyard or the backwoods and just go read a book alone. You need to find a way to relax. And part of your studying will be affected by how well you can manage your relaxing. So whatever it is, you need to find out what it is. And then when stress is too much, when you're too stressed, you need to retreat there, whatever that place is, to gain back your mental and physical strength. Maybe what you need is taking a 25 minutes midday nap. No more than 25 minutes, because it will affect your sleep pattern. But it will surely boost your energy level. Okay? So a little review on the breathing exercise. Remember, breathe in through your nose. Count in your head 1, 2, 3, 4. Fill in your stomach, then your lung. And then we talked about deep breathing in the video, as opposed to shallow breathing. And this can cause hyperventilating. So when you inhale, and when you think you're full, try inhaling some more. And then hold your breath. 2, 3, 4, hold it. Exhale, let it go out, counting out to 8. Then rinse and repeat. Okay? Also critical before writing a test that has so much hanging on it is facing your fears. What is the worst case scenario? What's the real scenario in details? Do you have all the facts? Is it all that bad? You know, is someone going to beat you up on the way out to the exam? Likely not. So be careful that you don't get fears that are not real. Okay, beware. This is a snake. And this is, as so many people like you before, are you afraid of snake? If so, then your initial reaction to this snake could be worse than the snake can do to you. What your fear can make you do could be worse than the actual snake. In this case, the actual object of your fear. Okay? Maybe your fear will make you trip or break your ankle during a walk in nature. What if your fear ruins your day and makes you forget everything you enjoyed earlier that day? What you need is information and perspective. Okay? Gain some perspective and facts. This snake is actually very small and happens to be a garter snake, which is harmless to humans. Even if it was twice this size, it's still harmless. So you don't have to like it or even tolerate it, but it can't hurt you. Your fear of it, not the dislike you have of it, is unjustified. However, I do understand how you may feel. I feel the same way about spiders. I don't like them. But I do need to manage that stress caused by my fear of them. So each time I meet one, if I let the fear control me, it will be worse than what the regular household spider can do to me. So that being said, if it's a rattlesnake or a black widow, you need to get away. Right? I mean, there are fear that are founded. If it's a dangerous snake or a dangerous spider, yeah, get away from there without panic, because the panic will actually kill you. So you have to get some information, get the facts in front of you. Okay? So all of the other information we just covered is important, but what I really want to leave with you in this course is some kind of a pre-flight checklist you can use before the test. So it's like a pre-test checklist. So imagine yourself, you're a pilot of an airplane. There are some basic checklists that work. So I want to make this mini course more specific and relevant to exam certification type of exam. Licensing exams, where there's so much more hanging on to them than just a passing mark. There's a job usually hanging on them. So these exams are really important, and I really want to give you all the tools or tips that I know to make you more successful. So let's look at what we need to do before the test. Something like what a pilot would do in a pre-flight check. Okay? Well, they would have a master checklist. They would have a master checklist for before the test, the morning of the test, and during the test, or before the flight, so the people doing the mechanics and the repairs and everything, and then the day of that flight, and then during the flight itself. There's different type of checklist that we want to go through. So we'll do the same, and we'll relate it to our licensing exam. So before the test, we manage the stress by using relaxation techniques, and we do deep breathing exercises. So that's our stress management part. We use the 4 R's of studying, or any of the other videos that I taught you about on reading first, scanning the document, what we need to read and how we do read. We review, we find out what needs to be read and what to ignore. We write down notes that are useful for preparing for the exam. So those are still over the 4 R's, and then the rest and nutrition, a key component of successful learning. We also need to do multiple practice exams if we have those. Okay, practice exams that are close as possible to the real thing when it comes to question styles and ambiguity of language. We don't want to have really easy review question like some of the material that I've seen online, or even some printed material. You don't want those easy questions. Yes, they're good to build your confidence, but they'll cheat you thinking that you know it when you don't. Okay? So we're going to be providing you some practice questions on any of our websites for licensing exams that we have, and they're part of it. Then, a day or two before the test, you need to do a good review. This is not reading the whole book again or watching all of the videos, but it's reviewing using your notes, mind maps, tables, formulas, whatever it is that you created in the writing phase of the studying part. Okay? If you're not sure, then you can go back to the original material or the video to make sure that you understand what you wrote down and what it means, to clarify it to yourself. So let's say you took notes on a topic, and as you watch it again watch your notes again before the exam, a couple of days before the exam, you say, oh, what was that about? Then go back and look at the original material. Otherwise, you don't need to. You also, most licensing exam, you don't need remember detailed dates. You don't need to remember people names or things like that. Usually what you need to know is a general concept and the things that have been highlighted during the course itself. So if on one of my courses, if I don't highlight something, if I don't talk about something, or I just tell it as an anecdote, and I don't say this is important for the exam, then it's not important for the exam. So as you're preparing for your licensing exam, we'll provide you with outlines also for what you need to know for the test. So you can checklist that one. So how do we review? Well, let's talk about your study notes and what it is that you should use for your final reviews before the test. How much studying would you do doing in the morning of the test? None. The morning of the test, you shouldn't do any studying. What you need to do is reviewing. And what's the difference? For some people, these are review notes. That's what they look like. Some are printed from a computer, some are handwritten, some have highlighting, some are style. It doesn't matter. Okay? Whether it's typed or handwritten, you shouldn't really have solid page of text though. Like, look at those. They're solid pages. Is that what you want for review notes? Maybe you're the other extreme, only image, sketches, or mind maps. So there's got to be a balance between this solid page of text. Okay? So, or maybe you can add some words and diagram. So go back to that one. Maybe you can add some words and diagram to your text. Make it make sense. And then if you have solid text like this, it's way too much like reading. And how many pages would you have written to cover all the material needed for the text? You know, maybe you'll have a combination like this example from Cornell University. This is a very good style. You've got some more graphical at the top, and then you've got a little paragraph at the bottom to explain what you have before. I write notes like that sometimes too. My notes are a combination of mind maps and notes like this. So I have the main topic on the left column. On the right, I explain it a little bit more, and at the bottom, I have a little synopsis of what the chapter or the paragraph, the chapter was about, because that's more for chapter, this whole thing. That would be a whole section in a course. Okay, so a combination like that works well for a lot of people. That's from Cornell University. Or maybe, if you're like me, you like mind map a whole lot, and you can have mind map that will cover a whole section of the book. Again, I'm using a property insurance example here. This is a mind map, and some of those mind maps that I've prepared will be available on the site as well for you to use. But again, the power of a mind map is the one you created yourself. Okay, so this is just one style of mind maps, and I covered quite a few in the video on mind maps. And we'll teach you more about it too on mind mapping. Remember, this is reviewing. The goal is to refresh your memory, not to learn new stuff. You've already learned that stuff. You should already know it. You only want to remember or confirm to yourself that you know it. You may also want to write and rewrite all your practice tests as a review. Don't forget to take breaks between each one. This works well for many people, to take a break between your practice tests. A good review will build up your confidence, and I'll go a long way to help you get even better marks on the test. The confidence that you have walking into the test plays a big, big part onto how well you'll do. So that's it for the review part. But what about the rest of the test? Okay, well, we have just like a pilot, you always check the plane before each flight. Before arriving at the examination location, there's a few things we need to know and we need to do. So look at it as your just pre-flight check. Okay, at home and on your way to the exam, as much as possible, don't change your normal routine. Don't burn the midnight oil and study all night. A good night's rest will do more to you for your test than last-minute studying. Don't eat too much or drink too much that morning. The last thing you need is your stomach to play tricks on you during the test. And unless you have a doctor's note, you'll not be allowed to leave the examination room during most licensing tests. Make sure you leave your review notes, and if you bring them, in the car, as you won't be able to have them with you at your desk. Same thing with your cell phone, any writing instruments or paper. On most licensing texts, you will be providing pen. You will be provided pens and pencils, even calculators if it's needed. Okay. In the case of the Alberta Insurance Council exam, you also need to arrive a few minutes early to check in with your photo ID and your credit card for your exam fee, if it hasn't been paid already. Okay. The way I do a final review personally on the morning of a test is I simply do a quick scan through my review notes once, and then I put everything away. So what I'll do is I'll take my review notes, and they're usually going to be 3 or 4 mind maps, and I'll take them with me in the car, and I'll drive to the location, and just before I get out of the car, I'll do some deep breathing exercises, scan through my notes, put them on the car seat, and walk out. So if you have formulas and dates and stuff like that that you need to remember, then those, maybe review those again one more time so you remember them. Often you may have paper given to you for prior to the exam. Well, the first thing you could do is sit down, and then you can want to write some of those down so you don't forget some of the key points. Okay. And then when you actually sit down at your desk or at your test station, so it's the takeoff, okay? So it's the start. You're at your assigned desk, you're taking off just like a fighter pilot. Your checks have been done, your review's been done, your studying's been done. So as soon as you're given your paper and pencil and you're allowed to write, and before you even look at the test, write down those formulas and quick facts, or maybe make a short mind map that you memorize on one of those blank paper that was given to you. This will come handy if you get stressed and think you forgot something. Looking at that sheet with a few notes will reassure you that you indeed know enough to pass the test. So for me, I drew a quick map of some of the key components for my licensing exam. Some formulas. In the case of the insurance, I wrote down a quick map on the SPF1 and the formula for the co-insurance. Okay, so these are topics that kept me up in my studies. Okay, so having them on the sheet of paper during the test really helped me, also helped my confidence. So I also did my deep breathing exercise as well just before, and then I flip the test questions and I start. Okay, during the test, you're committed now, you flip that sheet, you're sitting down, you're writing the test. So once you wrote down your note, flip the test page, get started. Start with your name, other required information. You'd be surprised how many people return exam sheets without their name on it. Watch your breathing. That's where you get excited. Watch your breathing. If you're getting nervous already, pause. Deep breath. Okay? It's critical that you keep that stress under a normal level, under control. Remember the cortisol going into your brain. So you want to make sure you get there. You get through the whole test without being stressed out. Again, some stress is normal, but it's the too much stress that's not good. Okay, so you don't want to let it affect you. Okay, so now we're at the test. Okay, that's our in-test checklist. Okay, remember, you need to pick the best answer. Don't overanalyze the question and add to the scenario. If the possible choices look like similar, well, just go back to that question. What does it say? What are the differences between the answer? Like, what is the best answer? Does it have? And I'll talk about that when we go through actual sample tests together. But there are sometimes I'm going to use one from liability. From the insurance, liability insurance. If the possible choice for the duty owed in liability are children and toddlers, well, your mind is going to go, well, toddlers for sure come to mind as the owed the greatest duty. However, children also, the word children also includes toddlers. So therefore, it's a better answer. So, because if you chose toddler, it would exclude the 6-year-old child, which is covered. So you have to look at those words that are using. They matter of semantic and try to confuse you there. Okay, do the easy one first. If a question is getting you stuck, pass over and come back later. Just don't sit there and stress over it. Move on. Don't forget to mark the answer sheet though, so you actually come back to that question and leave that space on the answer sheet open. I've seen an answer sheet come back where the person was done. She had skipped a few questions, and then she ended up at 96 or 97 out of 100. The reason it happened is when she skipped a question, she did not skip the answer box. So now, all of her answers, she failed miserably and probably did very well otherwise. But because of all her answer had shifted one box, she got it messed up. So you got to be careful about that. And don't forget to go through the test at the end. So if you skipped a few questions, you want to make sure, maybe you forgot you skipped them at the end. So gonna make sure you go back over. If you have some time, go and look at some of the question. Do not change the answer though. Remember, like the answer, the first one you put in is likely the right answer. Pace yourself. Do this too during practice exam as well. So if you have a 90-minute test with 100 questions, set yourself a timer. And at the real exam, you'll feel more confident knowing that you have enough time to write the test without rushing. So if this test starts at 8:30 and it's a 90-minute exam, then you know that at 9:15 you should be around question number 5. Give it or take a few minutes. So write down on your sheet 8:30, number 50. So around 8:30, check it out if you're about time. They will give you a warning. Usually the examinators will give you a warning that there's 10 minutes left or something left. But that's not good. You want to make sure that you're pacing yourself properly. And then read the question. What's the context? Like question about property insurance. Is this talking about property, auto, liability? Is it talking about a specific product as an investment on your EMP, exam market products? Is it talking about the investors or the stockholders, or what is it? Who is it talking about? Don't jump to the answer until you understand the question properly. Okay? Mark up the question. If there's a sheet that you have that you can write on, the questions are on, don't be afraid to mark it up. Underline the word. Highlight the word that are key words. Or if you can't do that, then on a sheet of paper that you were given, if you were given a blank sheet of paper, write down the notes on the context. Summarize or paraphrase the question. What are they really asking there? Most mistakes on multiple choice exam are made from poor reading skills. Okay? Once you understand the question, without looking at the multiple choice answers yet, try to give it a ballpark answer. You don't have to have the exact answer. You don't have to do too much, but figure out where it is. Being in the ballpark will make the elimination of the wrong answer easier. Because this is what they're going to trick you on a multiple choice. They're going to put some answers that look pretty good, but there's going to be differences between them. Remember about the pairs. If there's a pair of answers that look right, what's the difference between the two? Only one of them is right. Okay. Another thing is, on that same note, be satisfied with good enough. Okay. So read all the choices. Okay, what are all the options? Watch for similar pairs. Are there two sentences the same? What are the words? But there may not be those two similar answers. That pair may not be the right answer either. It might just be there to trick you. I can't say much about the risk of changing answers. Don't change your answer unless you're 100%, not 99%, 100% sure. Okay? Don't be afraid to make an educated guess. If you don't know, if you have no idea what it is, you can't remember, don't skip it. Give it an educated guess. Okay? Good enough. On that same note, be satisfied with good enough. Yes, 100% would be nice, but 70% is good enough. Maybe in the industry, people will talk about their exam, but really nobody will care whether you got 70 or 90 on the test. If your goal is 100%, you'll stress over any question you're not 100% sure about. I'm serious about this. I don't remember ever failing a test in high school, college, university all my life. It's not because I don't care about my marks. It's just that I know that once I'm sitting down at the test, I can only do my best. And if you have done your part, which is study, and if you've taken good notes and used these notes for review, then you know enough to pass the test. Anything above 70 is gravy if the passing mark is 70. Relax, trust your memory, and enjoy the trip. Like stressing over one question will only rise the release of cortisol in your brain. And because of stress, and about half an hour later, you'll start having memory blank. How good is that? What's the point? And is it worth the risk? So be satisfied with good enough. Again, you must avoid cramming the night before. That will not work. You must respect the normal learning cycle, and you can't take shortcut with learning. See the How People Learn mini course for more details on that. How People Learn really teaches you some of that. You need to let the normal cycle kick in. Also, as I said earlier, keep your normal morning routine. If you're not a morning person and the exam is available in the afternoon, then take it then. But don't spend the morning cramming and over-reviewing. Your brain does need a rest before the test, or it will force you to take one during the test by forgetting in the middle of it. Okay? So you have the information. If you followed your course for the licensing exam with us on our video courses, you will have all the information you need for the test. So you're ready. Get set and go.